All right, everybody, we're back. And in the last video, I found a few errors in one of the columns. Well, I decided you shouldn't have to do that, so I now added that updated document here. And as I had spoken about, I chose to remove the info tab from one, and maybe this will be the one you start working with. It's substantially smaller than the other one. And then we're also going to be using the technical assistance reference document because it kind of helps you see the sort of tables and figures we want. I mean, you could also look at the example of work here. This one probably has something similar and it's more recent. But you can decide. You can decide which one you want. I think what I'll do is I'll look both at this one provided and then also the assistance document. So from the assistance document, I've got sort of a title page or a master page, kind of breaks down the macros and functions. Because these videos on YouTube, you can either speed them up if you want, or you can pause and go back. That I'm not going to exactly moderate my natural speed here, because that's what I used to. People say, "Oh, slow down." Well, I'll try to explain everything I'm doing, but again, you can go back. I'll just try to verbalize what I'm doing. Let's see if that one is ready to be opened. Where is my downloads? Okay, it's going super slow because it's a bigger file. So anyway, yeah, so some of the macros I'll be using is Control X, Control C, Control V, Control Y, and Control Z. I'll try to remind you when I use these. We'll be using functions such as equals F, equals sum, equal count if, an actual percentage calculation, equal average, equal sum if, equal max, and then an integer to round things to the nearest digit. Some other things will be copy and paste, freeze, portals, pivot tables, and we'll be doing bar scatter plot trending and calculating the R-square value. That's just a basic rundown. So for this video, what I want to do is the first step, and that is to create the descriptives table. I don't know if we'll be having these headings. There may be some additional headings. This is just, I kind of just left it right there. But we will be attempting to capture all this information, and I'll explain it as we do it, though I should have all the explanations here too. All right, has our video, yeah. So this is the one provided by the student back in fall of 22. I wasn't going to open it, but I mean, now that we're here, it's opening. There we go. Let's see. That's her info, descriptive stats. So this is the table we'll be creating. And I'll always try to blow things up a little bit here. Here we go. Descriptives. Again, a completely different data set. Here there's 625. Certain semesters I've had upwards of like 3,000. I believe in ours there's about 250, somewhere around there. We'll have to see here in a moment. But this is the table we're going to be recreating. But the heading may change a little bit. And you see how she made it professional. She spelled everything out. Everything's nice and clean. The only thing I would do is make sure that all of the rows are about the same. There we go. That's better. That looks nice. I might actually wrap text on these. And then I could separate that out. See, you can always do that too. So another part of this project is to make good looking or a professional presentation of your results is what I meant to say. So that looks kind of nice. But anyway, that's hers. I'm not going to save her work, obviously, or their work. It's a her. So yeah, something like that. So that's what we're going to do. I'm wondering would it be possible, could I copy this? I don't think so because it is a table. So I think I'm going to have to type it all. So let's go ahead and begin, shall we? Here's our data set. First rule of doing data analysis: never ever do any sort of alterations to the master link. Now, of course, I did that in the last video, but that was because some entries were a little bit off. So what you do is you click on, I'm going to zoom it in a little. I don't know how much this is going to help. You click on this little sort of apex between the A and the 1, or right here. It's got like a little arrow. When I click on that, it highlights the entire tab. Then I do Control C to copy. When you do, you get kind of these weird moving lines. I click on the plus sign down below to add a tab. and then I hit Control V to paste, and it gave me an exact duplicate. So at sheet 1, we were on the master data. Now I can start doing my analysis without affecting the pristine data set. One rule of thumb I say is don't molest the master. So here's the master data set, don't molest it, don't do anything to it, leave it be, because then we have a pristine copy of the original data if we have to do troubleshooting later on, which we may have to do in order to verify things. So got this first sheet. I'm going to call it descriptive stats or descriptives. Call it what you want. And always make sure you're saving your work as you go. Because I haven't gone that far, I'm not going to save it, but try to save it in your own title. Don't keep it the same because it's going to get mixed up then with other stuff. You're not going to know what is your work and what isn't. I'll kind of zoom in here a little bit too. All right. So the first thing I want to do is give each claim an independent number. So I inserted. So I right-clicked on the top of a row, hit insert, and I got this. Should I do it again? Again, if you have never used Excel before, please go back to Canvas, and here I've got these Microsoft Excel for beginners, Excel for basic formulas and functions. Please watch these first. And then you can also look at the YouTube channel. Back to the show. So again, I'm going to highlight a row, I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to hit insert. So now I've got this. I'm just going to call a number, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. I'm going to highlight these and double click the bottom right corner. I'm going to center everything, bold, and I can add the color too if I want. All right, so let's see if this worked, and we'll know how many claims we have. See, we do have 250. Okay, I was right. I was kind of guessing, but we've got 250 claims, and they go from policy year 17 all the way through the end of policy year 22. Oh, August has 31 days. Okay, my mistake. And then we got a few from August. So, and October. So these we'll count them except for when we do annual trending, because not very many, right? Go back up here. So that's the first thing we wanted to do, is every claim now has a unique number that I can refer back to for when I'm removing things around. Next thing I want to do is, because I have the policy year already, I don't have to create that. Sometimes you do. I need to figure out what are the costs. So, whenever it says paid, that's what I want. I've got a total paid over here, right here. I need to verify that that's the correct number that I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another insert. This is a test. And I'm going to go equal. And I'm going to click on the cells on this row that I want to add up. I want paid medical plus paid indemnity plus paid legal expense. I don't see any other pays. Otherwise, it's an outstanding or an INC. That may be incurred. That's probably incurred. So I'm just going to leave those, and I'm just going to come up with a total paid. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to double click here. What that is, it's an automatic copy paste. And now I can go through and verify. I'm just kind of visually looking at these two to see if they're pretty much the same. And if they are, then I don't need this column. And you don't even have to do this. Which, oh, that one's different. So mine's a little bit higher. Is it because of subrogation? So they got some money back? Interesting. That's the first one that I saw different. I'll just look for other subrogation. That was the only one. And is this a screwy one? Employee was putting together something, felt the pop, and then pain. Worked for a while. Pain was too much. Then told lead, move to a different spot. That's the only one. Oh, no, there's one right there. Are these two different? They are. So they took money out for whatever reason. You know what? Because there's only two. Oh, there's one right here too. Okay. Oh, that's incurred recovery. Okay, not subrogation. Subrogation, there's nothing there. Okay, so I want to trust what they have. So our here's what that means. That means when we have these numbers, they're not going to exactly add up because we have this incurred recovery. Or I'm sorry, yeah, incurred recovery. This is total incurred. So that's equal. So this is more of a total incurred, right? I mean, we don't know the meaning of this. That was the original cost of it. But then as far as what they paid, they recovered some monies. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Medical is really high. It probably came out of the indemnification, right? Huh. Now, I want my totals for paid, paid, and paid to equal my total paid. So I'm going to use my total paid. So this is, I'm going to call it total paid. And this one is insurers total paid. Okay? So these are my numbers. These are the numbers that I want to use. I usually do that. Now what I want to do is copy the header row. So I'm going to highlight, click on one. There's a left click, Control to C to copy. Then I'm going to scroll down. Oh, I did that. And I'm going to highlight this and paste it. So it isn't weird like that. I'm just going to shrink the font a little. Yeah, that's nice. It's nice. Probably should do it up above too. I like that better. As long as I can read it, let's try to stay at 140% for you. And then we'll come down here and then we'll know which columns we really want. We're really only going to be focusing on the paids because these other things, this is stuff, this is outstanding, so they can estimate how much it could be, but we could also get that from the total incurred right here, total incurred or total outstanding. Are they always going to be the same? No, not always. And we can mess with those later, but for right now, I just want to know what has been paid from a comp claim perspective. So this may sound crazy, but I'm going to delete these outstanding and incurred medical because I just want to focus on, unless I do this again, I don't know. I'm going to try to follow the same sort of way I've always done it. So I've got these. That's what I want to work with. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put it right here. Now, we've got our N is 250. We know that. Here's how I move the color over. I click here, I click on this Format Painter, and then I click here, and it moves it. Isn't that kind of cool? All right. So now what I need is the statistics or the statistical functions that I want for here. Now I can look over at either this one, which I'm going to. I don't know if I can copy and paste this, but I'm going to try it. We'll see. Sometimes it works, other times it doesn't. It did. Now I don't know if this is going to be, we'll see if this all works out. I'm going to shrink this down a little bit. I may have to open it up later. I want all of the rows to be somewhat of the same. We'll see if I can make this look better later. If these are all, that doesn't look too bad, does it? Depends how it fits the page too. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and give these all borders. That's the thing too, is messing around with stuff like that. It may seem like, oh, why is he doing that? It's because it's important. All right, so we're gonna begin some of the functions here, okay? So paid medical, I want to add up everything that's in this column. 250 claims, everything that has been claimed as medical. So I'm going to go equal sum, parentheses, and you see here it says sum, give me the numbers. The numbers are S2 to S251. When I type that in, it highlights this whole row. Starting with cell S2, then I put in a colon and I put S251, which is right here. So that's the range. Hit return. When it does that, there's probably extra decimal points. Yeah, there it is. Here's one thing I want to do. First of all, I hate it when the justification is weird. I'm just going to go ahead and put it in the center, and I'm going to get rid of the pennies. How do I get rid of the pennies? Up here, I can get rid of them that way, so I can move the decimal point either way. See, when the number's too big, it gives you that. You just have to get rid of the decimal points or widen it, and then it'll fit. And then you get this number. Here's a cool thing. Click on this cell. Here, here's what it is. It's the sum from here to here. Uh-oh, didn't want that. Dang it. I hit Z to go back. So if I click here, you see how the cursor is sort of a big kind of white, I don't know, it looks almost like a hospital cross. When I bring it to the lower right-hand corner of the cell, you see it changes. If I click left and hold it down and drag it over, it's not letting me do it. I'm going to have to hit return. I'm going to try it again. Click and drag it over. Here's what it did. So right here, it's sum S2 to S251. Here, it's T2 to T51. You see, as I dragged it over, it because of the spatial orientation of the spreadsheet, it brings it over one, and I really like that. And I take advantage of that. I take advantage of that basic function of Excel, just because it makes everything easier. So the total paid in this data set in Wisconsin is 1.7 million. Seems like a lot, right? But we'll break it down. So the total paid for paid medical, what percent is it? I hit equal, I click on the amount here, and then I divide it by what would be the total. I like to type it in. Of course, then when it lowers down, I can see how the percent lowers, and so I'm going to type in 1743740. I got to turn that into a percentage. So I clicked on here, I went up to the number, clicked down, I go down to percentage. I click and drag it over. There you go. Average, type in equal average. That's the function, average number to number. My number is S2 to S251. Hit return. I'm going to get rid of the pennies. I'm going to click on it and drag it over. So the average claim is just under $7,000. We're going to find out that that's not a very accurate representation. I haven't even analyzed this yet, and I know it's not accurate. Okay? And I'll show you why. The median is the 50th percentile, not the average. Average is total divided by total number. Median equal, learn to type, man. Equal median. The range, S2 colon S251. Get rid of the pennies. Drag it over. So, the median is 1,069 for medical versus the average being 4,700. The median for claim is 1,200, whereas the average is almost 7,000. Why is that? Because I bet there are just a handful of really expensive claims, and that's why that's so high. But the 50th percentile, so 50% of the numbers are above, 50% are below, is down to here. And that's kind of the purpose of my method and you'll see as we go along, that's what's most important. Count the number of $0 entries. So what you do here is you go equal, count if, I gotta put count in there, count if. You put a range and then a criteria. My range is S2 colon S251, comma, and my criteria is 0. Just typed in a 0. If it's alphabet, you gotta put parentheses. If it's a number, you can just type it in. Return, there's 36 zeros in medical, drag it all the way over. The average was $0 claims removed. So we got 250 claims. So here's here's the thing. I don't always just look at the most expensive claims. I also look at the $0 claims. That's when something's filed but nothing was ever charged. Now that can be mostly in the more recent, but you still have to account for it. So equal. The average is the total divided by the total number. So I'll take the total amount here and I'll divide it by the total number, which is 250, minus the number of $0 claims. So what that should do is that should make the number go up. And it did. So it didn't come out as a dollar value. So what I need to do is change this to currency, get rid of the pennies. So I do a lot of adjustments as I go. So I click and drag it over. And you see how the average went up. Why did the average go up? Because I removed the $0 claims, which actually brought down the average. But the average isn't very accurate because it's higher because of a handful of really expensive claims. And these are the number of $0 entries above for that column, for that column, for that column, for that column. Max amount recorded equal max. And I want the range S2 to S251. It's 83,000, and that's just medical. Drag it all the way over. The most expensive claim is 118,216. I actually know what claim that is, unfortunately. Yeah. So that's the maximum claim. Usually we have one that's like in the 200s or possibly 300, especially when we're talking about 1.7 million, but we'll see. The percent max of the total is what influence does it have, or what does it represent from a percentage of what this number is. So I'll go equal, and I'll click on that cell, and I'll divide it by whatever is in that cell. When you click on a cell, what that does is it allows you to compare things. I think comparisons are more important than anything. So the max claim has 6.7% influence on whenever you do an analysis. So I'd like to try to get this down to 2% or lower. That's just my rule of thumb. I haven't been able to find a natural trend in the world, like the golden numbers, but this is too high. This one claim will influence all the other statistics. So the percent of $0 claims in the subtotal, this is pretty easy. We just take this number divided by 250. This one isn't as important. This is just something that I myself am interested in. It's nice if you have higher numbers. These are low numbers. So taking out the zeros shouldn't do too much, but as you can see, yeah, they kind of do. They do have some influence here. So we will continue to count them. The last thing we want to do on this page is count the number of open and closed cases. Where are that? Where is that? Where is it? Oh, here they are, the status. Open, closed, reopened. That's a new one to me. Closed, and is there a reopened? There is. Okay. What I want to do is count them and get a percent. Later on, we'll figure out where exactly they lie. I mean, we can do this kind of analysis with the claim type, with anything, really. Maybe I will, just for fun. We're at 23 minutes. I think I'm just going to move this over 1, and because I'm counting the J's. So equal count if parentheses J2 to J251. That lit it up. The criteria is whatever is in that cell. Here's an interesting thing. If I was to simply drag it down, what it would do, it would change the range from 2 to 251 to 3 to 252 to 4 to 253. So what I have to do is I have to go in and put $signs in front of the numbers, because that's a freeze code. So now when I click and drag it down, as you can see, it still stayed 2 and 251. If I hadn't done that, watch, I'll show you. It may not change the numbers, but this is just good practice. Take out the $signs. Now if I click and drag it down to change it, see, it's 4 and 253. That's the spatial orientation of Excel. You got to respect it, and by putting a $sign in front of a letter or a number, you can freeze rows or columns. I always do total to check my work, equal sum, and I can just click here, and 250 is the number. So I know I'm correct. And now let's figure out the percentages. Equals 19 divided by this. If I was to drag it down, it wouldn't work because it would move that down too, right? So if I go back and I freeze that cell, freeze it both by putting in front of J and whatever, and then if I turn this into a percentage as that's what it's supposed to be, drag it down. There you go. There is, this is claim status. This is count. This is percent. And okay, well, I wonder if I should move that down a little. Doesn't matter at this point. You should try to keep all the row headings at the same level. I wonder, would it just let me if I cut and pasted it? Let's see, that number still looks good. Yeah, okay. So similar to what we saw in the sample, if I highlight this and go up to format as a table, I now can assign it or make it look a lot more professional. I'm in favor of, I think I'm going to use red, just in honor of the Badgers beating Illinois. Oh, I don't like that. That top looks horrible. It doesn't look good at all, does it? Let's get rid of this color. There we go. What happens if I do it here too? There we go. So I had built-in colors. Just looking at this, what are these numbers? That's a 10, that's an 8. That doesn't look good. Let's standardize it. Let's put everything at 9. Looks a little bit better. A little bit better. Try to shrink this down. Try to get equal stuff here. Highlight everything. You move one. They all go equal. Nope, does not look good. I'm gonna go ahead and highlight all the columns. Expand it a little. Still doesn't look. It's getting a little bit wide. I don't like this stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and just shrink these to an 8. So it kind of fits better. All the numbers pretty good, I think. Although, yeah, we'll just leave it as it is for now. You see these drop-down windows? Those are sorting criteria. So if I highlight the header row and then go to data, see the filter, click on that, it goes away. Looks better, doesn't it? So there's my professional table for that. I'll do the same for here. First, maybe what I'll do is turn this all into 9s. Then I'll highlight this table. Looks pretty good. Highlight the header row, go to data, turn off the filter. So I've completed the analysis here. These are my descriptive statistics. Oh, I also want to get my dates, but here's the thing. We are policy years 20, is it 2017 to 2023? 2023, is that right? Because I usually get the dates. I usually write down the dates somewhere. Yeah, we're at 28 now. So we went from, it's policy year 17, so September 1st of 2017. That was September 1, 2017 to October 4th of 2023. Yeah, so that's our date ranges. Okay, so why don't we see that? I think it's probably because the orientation's wrong. There. Because you're going to want to specify. So those are the dates of claims. I'm going to copy that. Bring it over here. Policy years 17 to start of 2023. Bring that in the middle. So yeah, one thing I'd want everybody to do is always kind of make some insights here. So we've got 250 claims from September 1st, 2017 to October 4th, 2023. The total amount in claims paid is 1.7 million. The average amount paid is basically just under 7,000. The median per claim is just over 1,200. The maximum recorded claim is just a little over 118,000. Those are the main findings from this. And then you can see that medical payments are over 2/3 of all the money that was paid out. Most of the rest comes from paid indemnity. Paid indemnity, that's wage losses, that is money that goes towards treatment, that is payment for permanent disabilities incurred during treatment. They never got back to 100%. And if you've been reading the work comp stuff, you know what I'm talking about. So that's the first step, is I do want everybody to write some insights that I had just mentioned. And it's as easy as if I go insert and I can go text box and I can just start writing. You can do it that way. I forget how Colleen did it. How'd she do it? Because I think she did a good job, if I recall. Okay, so she just wrote it down below. See, you can see here. This helps, doesn't it? You can kind of read this and get an idea of kind of the things I'd want to see. You could also go insert shapes. And sometimes I do this, and then I'll just type into here. I kind of like that better. Cleaner. So go ahead, and then here's the last thing you want to do. File, save as. I'm in download, so I have to go into my file. Sorry, I should have, but I use Dropbox for all of my work. And I think I'll just save it in here, and I'm going to call it something else. I'll go LRDA. Descriptives. Week 1. Or I could go week 1. Descriptives. And then put your name or something like that. I mean, if you have difficulty storing things, I could go 483 or 683. But I want you to customize them all. I mean, for week 1, it says descriptives. For the next one, I may say descriptives and distribution. Put your name in there too. So you should always have a running, week after week, step after step saving of it with different names. Because then if something goes corrupt, you can go right back to the previous one that wasn't as corrupt. Yeah, save it as a workbook. There we go. So now I've got my next document that I can start with. So that's where I wanted to end this video. In the next video, we are going to do the distribution analysis.